He was Hollywood's golden boy, the face of a generation, the man who had it all: fame, fortune, love, and an unshakable career. But now, at 61, Brad Pitt's life tells a very different story. Behind the glamorous smile lies heartbreak, scandal, and a loneliness that success could never cure. Today, we uncover the tragedy of Brad Pitt, a story far more human than the headlines ever revealed. Long before the red carpets, the flashing cameras, and the Hollywood spotlight, Brad Pitt was just a small-town boy from Missouri with a dream too big for the place he grew up in. Born on December 18, 1963 in Shawnee, Oklahoma, and raised in Springfield, Missouri, William Bradley Pitt grew up in a conservative middle-class Baptist household. His father ran a trucking company, his mother was a school counselor, and the values of hard work and discipline shaped his early years. By all accounts, young Brad was charming, athletic, and well-liked. He played tennis, golf, and basketball, and was even part of his high school debate team. Yet deep down, he felt a restlessness that small-town life couldn't satisfy. After high school, Brad enrolled at the University of Missouri, majoring in journalism with a focus on advertising. He was only 2 credits away from graduating when he made a decision that would change the course of his life forever. With no diploma in hand, he packed his old Datsun, filled it with his belongings, and drove west, heading straight for Los Angeles. To his family, it was shocking. To Brad, it was destiny. Hollywood was calling. But Los Angeles was not the glamorous land it appeared to be in magazines. Brad arrived with just a few $100s and no connections. To make ends meet, he worked odd jobs, driving strippers to parties, delivering refrigerators, even dressing. Up as a giant chicken outside an El Pollo Loco fast food chain to lure in customers. These humiliating gigs, he would later say, were stepping stones. At night, he studied acting under Coach Roy London, who helped mold his raw charisma into something powerful enough for Hollywood. After years of rejection, Brad's persistence finally paid off. In 1991, he landed a small but unforgettable role in Thelma and Louise. His screen time lasted only a few minutes, but his charm and good looks stole the show. Audiences and casting directors took notice. The cowboy drifter with a crooked smile had just announced himself as Hollywood's next star. Within months, Pitt went from struggling actor to a household name. The following years brought a string of iconic roles. In A River Runs Through It, 1992, he proved he wasn't just a pretty face, but an actor with real depth. Then came Legends of the Fall, 1994, where his performance as Tristan Ludlow turned him into a symbol of raw masculinity. Critics praised his intensity, fans couldn't get enough, and Hollywood crowned him its new leading man. Yet Pitt wasn't satisfied with being labeled a heartthrob. He craved substance, searching for roles that would challenge him as much as they entertained audiences. By the mid-1990s, Pitt's career exploded with films like C7 and Fight Club. He was no longer just the handsome drifter. He had proven himself a serious actor capable of taking risks. Alongside his growing fame came an image carefully crafted by Hollywood, the perfect leading man, the star who had it all. But behind the glitz and glamour, cracks were already beginning to form. For Brad Pitt, the rise was meteoric, but the higher he climbed, the further he had to fall. By the late 1990s, Brad Pitt wasn't just a movie star. He was Hollywood's golden boy. His career was thriving, his face appeared on every magazine cover, and fans around the world adored him. But the public's fascination extended far beyond his movies. Everyone wanted to know who would win the heart of the most desirable man in Hollywood. The answer came in 1998, when Pitt began dating America's sweetheart, Jennifer Aniston. Their romance quickly captured the imagination of the public. Aniston, already beloved for her role as Rachel Green on Friends, and Pitt, the reigning sex symbol of cinema, seemed like a match made in heaven. In 2000, the couple tied the knot in a lavish Malibu wedding. Fireworks lit up the sky as Hollywood's brightest stars celebrated the union. To the world, they weren't just a couple. They were the fairy tale come to life. The press dubbed them America's golden couple, and for years, they appeared inseparable. But as with many Hollywood stories, what the public saw was not the whole truth. Behind closed doors, Pitt was restless. He admired Aniston deeply, but wanted a family sooner than she did. Jennifer was at the height of her career on Friends and wasn't ready to step back from her rising stardom. Their love, while genuine, began to strain under conflicting dreams and the pressures of fame. Tabloids, however, painted the picture of perfection, and fans refused to believe there were cracks in the fairy tale. Then came 2004. Pitt began filming Mr. and Mrs. Smith opposite Angelina Jolie. The chemistry between them was undeniable, both on and off screen. Though Pitt denied any wrongdoing while married to Aniston, rumors spread like wildfire that he had fallen for Jolie. By early 2005, Pitt and Aniston announced their separation, shattering the illusion of Hollywood's perfect marriage. Fans were devastated. Aniston was portrayed as the wronged woman, while Jolie was painted as the seductress who stole Brad away. The tabloids had a field day, fueling a narrative that still follows all three to this day. What followed was the era of Brangelina. Pitt and Jolie became the most photographed couple in the world. Together, they adopted children from Cambodia and Ethiopia, and later welcomed biological children of their own. Their family grew to 6, and the couple often used their platform to highlight humanitarian work. To the public, they were not just actors, they were global ambassadors for change. Pitt accompanied Jolie on UN missions, and the family's appearances on red carpets created media frenzies across the globe. Yet behind the glamorous photo shoots and glossy magazine covers, life was far from perfect. Raising 6 children while maintaining 2 of the busiest careers in Hollywood placed enormous strain on the relationship.
Friends reported constant disagreements about parenting styles, cultural differences, and Jolie's demanding humanitarian commitments. Pitt, meanwhile, struggled to maintain balance between his career, family, and personal demons. By 2016, the cracks could no longer be ignored.
Angelina Jolie filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. The news shook Hollywood to its core. What once appeared as a love story for the ages ended in heartbreak, with whispers of bitter disputes and accusations still lingering today. While the world obsessed over Brad Pitt's love life, behind the cameras a darker story was unfolding. Fame, wealth, and constant scrutiny came with a price. For years, Pitt used alcohol and later marijuana as a coping mechanism.
He admitted in interviews that for much of his 30s and 40s, he was living in a haze, numbing himself instead of facing the pain and pressure of his reality. The cracks became undeniable in 2016, the year Angelina Jolie filed for divorce. Court.
Documents and media reports alleged a heated altercation on a private jet involving Pitt, Jolie, and their children. Though details remain disputed, the incident triggered a storm of headlines about Pitt's drinking and his role as a father. For Brad, it was rock bottom. He suddenly faced the possibility of losing the most important thing in his life, his children. In a rare, brutally honest interview with GQ Style in 2017, Pitt confessed, "I can't remember a day since college when I wasn't boozing." He admitted his drinking had gotten out of control and that he needed to make a change. The image of the flawless movie star shattered, replaced by a man openly battling demons. But for many fans, this vulnerability made him more human, more relatable than ever. Determined to rebuild his life, Pitt quit drinking and sought help. He turned to therapy, meditation, and sculpting as ways to process his emotions. He even attended Alcoholics Anonymous meetings, where, surrounded by people who didn't care about his fame, he could finally speak freely. In these rooms, Brad Pitt was not the movie star. He was just a man trying to put his life back together. But the path to redemption was far from easy. His custody battle with Jolie stretched on for years, with both sides fighting fiercely over their 6 children. Pitt rarely spoke publicly about the case, but court documents revealed a bitter and exhausting process. Friends close to him described a man desperate to be present in his children's lives, yet constantly feeling like the villain in the public eye. Fatherhood, however, became the force that drove his recovery. Pitt spoke often about how his children gave him purpose, grounding him during his darkest days. He admitted mistakes, but also vowed to grow and become a better man for them. While the custody battle left scars, it also forced him to confront the fragility of family and the consequences of his choices. Brad Pitt had lived much of his life as Hollywood's untouchable golden boy. But in the span of a few years, the curtain was pulled back. Addiction, public scandal, and a broken family had humbled him in ways he never expected. The tragedy was undeniable, but so too was the possibility of redemption. By the time Brad Pitt entered his late 50s, the man once hailed as Hollywood's eternal heartthrob was grappling with a new reality: aging, solitude, and the weight of decades spent in the spotlight. The divorce from Angelina Jolie and the long custody battle left him living alone in his Los Angeles compound, where for the first time in his life, he had to truly sit with silence. Friends revealed that Pitt threw himself into art, architecture, and music to fill the void. He spent hours sculpting with artist Thomas House-Ago, describing the process as therapeutic. Instead of the glamorous parties that once defined him, Pitt was now more often found in a quiet studio, covered in clay dust, molding raw material into something new, perhaps symbolic of his attempt to reshape his own life. But even as he tried to rebuild, the industry reminded him of his fragility. Though he delivered one of the best performances of his career in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, winning the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor in 2020, he admitted backstage that the victory felt bittersweet. Behind the smile and charm was a man aware that time was running out, that his golden years were fading. The tragedy wasn't in losing fame. Pitt would always be a legend. But in what fame had cost him: failed marriages, fractured relationships with his children, and a public reputation scarred by scandal. Unlike the roles he played on screen, real life didn't guarantee a happy ending. In recent years, Brad has spoken more openly about mortality. He told GQ in 2022 that he sees himself in the last leg of his career. No longer chasing superstardom, he is instead chasing meaning. Producing films that matter, supporting younger actors, and quietly advocating for mental health and recovery. The once reckless movie star has transformed into a reflective elder statesman of Hollywood. And yet, there remains a haunting sadness. Sources close to him say Pitt struggles with loneliness, yearning for stronger ties with his children. While his career continues, many wonder if his personal life will ever find the peace and connection he craves. At 61, Brad Pitt remains a paradox, an icon admired by millions, yet a man who, behind the glamour, lives with heartbreak. The tragedy of Brad Pitt isn't that he lost fame. He never did. The real tragedy is what fame demanded in return: love, peace, and family. And as he faces the years ahead, the world can only watch and wonder, will Brad Pitt's story end in redemption, or will heartbreak remain his lasting legacy?